What's up, Titos and Titas, and everyone else? Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Tito. This episode will be about coffee, and particularly coffee roasting. So, from our previous episode, I told you that I was into the pour-over brewing method, but I've taken it a step further because I roast my own coffee beans as well. I've decided to roast my own coffee beans because I want to have access to freshly roasted coffee, and to have also, like, it's a different feel when you roast your own beans. So right in front of me are some of my roasting stuff that I need, and as you can see from my right, on this side, these are the green coffee beans. So these are the unroasted ones. So before they turn into the brown, black, oily, or something stuff that you grind for your coffee, they look this way. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different kinds of beans, but they're all Arabica. As I've said before, Arabica would give you the flavor, would give you the taste profile compared to the Robusta, because Robusta is usually used to give the kick because they contain more caffeine. And also, you definitely need the green coffee beans and my trusty drum roaster. This one I bought from Taiwan through a friend of mine. I bought this one for around roughly around 20,000 pesos. It's an open flame roaster. As you can see, there's a burner at the bottom, and it's fueled by butane, and it also has a probe, temperature probe, right smack into the inside the drum for me to get the bean temperature. A funnel, of course, a DIY funnel to just pour the coffee in this small opening, and of course also a weighing scale. And this one is from because this one is from Taiwan. It's a 110 volt roaster and motor, so I need a transformer. And also I've got some how do you call this one, but basically native basket stuff that I'm gonna be using to cool my roasted coffee beans. So I'll give you a bit of an overview when it comes to the green coffee beans. So this one are local coffee beans. These local coffee beans. This came from Marivic Dubria of Bacofa. This is a Mount Apo coffee, and this one we ordered from abroad. This is Sweet Maria's. They are based in the U.S. So this one right here is an Ethiopia dry process. So this comes the fun part right here, because for the specialty coffee, they would have what you call this one notes. So if you would look at it right here, it says here, Sweet Maria's Ethiopia dry process. It came from the Guji Shakisho region. It says here they've got some roasting profile, recommended roasting profile. So they want, if you want to get the most out of your coffee beans, you have to do a CT to full CT roasting. When you say CT to full CT, there's another. It's basically just medium roast. For specialty coffee, you don't want to be going into the dark roast area because you're just destroying those complex flavors. But when it comes to specialty coffee, you want to have that complex taste, that fruity notes, those sweet, and then there's the body, there's the balance, there's the cleanliness of the cup. So I know this is gonna be a bit overwhelming, or like sometimes it might be unbelievable, but it says here, these coffee beans, when you roast it to full CT, you would have fruit flavors that are juicy, clean, strawberry jam, berry-like brightness illuminate the cup. Hints of sweet citrus, peach puree, and tart acidic impression. That's what you're supposed to taste in this kind of coffee bean. And this one right here, this one is another one. I'll show you. This one is Anasora. It's naturally processed from the Guji region. The flavors would be grapes, mixed berries, citrus, flowers, maple syrup-like aroma, sweet and bright acid. Also, very important when it comes to specialty coffee beans is the altitude. Normally, if you would have higher elevation coffee, you would have more complex notes. So that is why for specialty coffee here in the Philippines, some of our sources, it's very famous. The Benguet, the Ato, the what they call this one, the Kalinga. So also the Mount Apo, the Mount Kalatungan, the Mount Kitanglad. Good Arabica beans equates to higher elevation because something about the higher the elevation, the more concentrated or the more complex the flavor of the coffee is. So as you can see, it's outrageous because you're supposed to taste something like berry, something like citrus. So if you're into if you're new to the specialty coffee, you kind of like your first sip is like I'm not really sure if I tasted that one. But anyway, let's get into the roasting stuff, and I'll give you a walkthrough on how I roast my own coffee. So I'm preheating my coffee roaster. So right now it's just 106, 107. So I'll wait for it to go up to 150 before I drop the green coffee beans. Okay. Alright, so I'm just preheating my coffee roaster. So I'm waiting for it to go to up to 150 degrees Celsius, which is now. So now I have to put in my beans. Alright, so my charge temperature was around 150 degrees Celsius. It's a bit lower than most because I've adjusted it because my drum roaster is an open type. So from my previous roast, I would get a better roast when I have a charging temperature of around 150. So if you can see on my temperature, on my thermometer, it's already on a turning point. So it's it started from 150, it dropped to around 67 degrees Celsius, but now it's climbing it up. So it's now 70. So it's already turning. That's a turning point. And now it's on its drying phase. So the drying phase is where the beans would lose some of its moisture all the way up to the yellow phase. So roasting would normally be around 11 minutes, give it take a few seconds, plus minus 30 seconds for each roast. So I'm targeting around 11 minutes of roasting time for for my coffee beans. It will also depend on the type of beans that I'm going to be roasting, the density of the beans, and the batch size. For this one, my roaster's capacity is around 200 grams, but I'm roasting 180 grams for this Mount Apo coffee. I've reduced it to 180 grams because these are big beans, and when they expand, they overflow from my roaster because it's only 200 gram capacity. So let's wait for it to turn yellow, and I want to have a cup of coffee while waiting for this one, but because it's too hot, I'd rather have juice. So let's wait for it to develop. We're already at around 170 degrees Celsius, so I'm expecting the coffee beans right here to be around yellowish to brownish. It's gonna be turning brown. So the aroma right now, of the coffee beans, since it's a bit still yellow, it's more of like a hay-like aroma, but it's slowly gonna turn into somewhat a baked bread later on. So if you can see right here, it's still yellow, but it will turn brown in a few minutes. For now, it's around 190. It's gonna be like, I'm expecting the first crack. So there it is. You can hear it. So that's the first crack. So by now you should, we would be expecting the beans to be brown. So right there, I'm gonna take a sample. Okay, I'll be taking a sample. You can see it's already brown. So from the time of the first crack up until the end of the roast, this is gonna be the roast development time. This is the most crucial part of the roasting process. So this is, for me, I don't have the external temperature probe, so I can measure the rate of rise. So I'm doing my roast through sensory, the smell, the appearance of the beans. So I would rely on my experience and my and the information from the beans. So the smell, I'm around 215. I think that's gonna be fine for the beans. I'm gonna turn the flame off, and I'm gonna drop. Alright, so that's the end of the roast. I have a freshly roasted coffee. So I'm just gonna cool the beans off outside. So this is the old-fashioned, this is my old-fashioned way of cooling my beans. I don't have the fan, and it's gonna be, it's too messy if I do this inside the house. So I'm doing this in the garage, just basically tossing the beans using this basket to just to cool it off. So I'm not sure if you can hear me, but anyway, this is how I do it. I do this until the beans are cool to touch. Also do this to separate the husk from the beans. Because sometimes, so see, it's still too hot to handle, so I still have to continue. Ta-da! Freshly roasted coffee beans. So this is it. As you can see, there are some color differences. Some of the beans, it could be contributed by one, how ripe the beans are, or the cherries are when they were picked. So I have to remove some lightly colored ones. But anyway, also this one, it's too dark, so it's gonna have to remove that one as well. Okay, but it's inevitable to have this kind of roast because there are a lot of difference when it comes to the beans themselves. So that's it. I have a freshly roasted coffee beans, and this will replenish my coffee stocks, and I'm good for another week or two. All right, so that's it. For next episode of some coffee stuff, do tune in because we don't know what our next episode is, but it's all about coffee. So anyway, stay tuned. Thank you very much for staying with me as I roast my coffee. Oh, bye bye. See ya.